Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we have to talk about some stunning news that Shang-Chi 2 has an update. And it sounds like good news, but it probably isn't. And, well, let's just stop there. This film didn't make any money the first time around. What makes them think it will the second time around? Let's jump into it and talk about it. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I am trying to get to 50K, so please double check you're still subscribed. If not, if you're here for your 1000th time, your first time, or somewhere in between, click the subscribe button if it's available, then hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications, and then hit the thumbs up button. Those three things alone do amazing things to the algorithm. If you want to not stop short, you want to make sure to stick around to the end of the video and comment, and be sure to watch another one of my videos today because it will help you retain your interest in the channel and put more of my videos in your feed. I know that seems weird, but that's what YouTube says it actually does. So let's move on, talk about the story from Cosmic Book News where Shang-Chi update looks good, but when you start to look at Marvel's slate, maybe not so much. Let's take a look at this again from Cosmic Book News. Shang-Chi 2 is still alive, even though it's been 5 years since the first one. Director Destin Daniel Cretton confirmed that the sequel remains in development during an appearance on Deadline's Crew Call podcast, telling host Anthony D Alessandro that the project is still moving and he wants to honor the reception of the first film. There was no reception of the first film. This is a very strange way to word things. When pressed on specifics, including whether or not the sequel picks up where the original left off, Cretton kept the door shut, saying that only that the emotional core matters to the team. Matters to the team. Like, who's actually involved in this? Who really wants this? Who's going to move forward with Awkwafina on a sequel? Who actually is pushing for this to happen? Because it wasn't the audience. The film didn't make money the first time. In fact, if we take a look at the numbers, treatment of this, you can see here Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, released in 2021, did poorly at the box office internationally at $432 million worldwide. They only had a mere $14.5 million in DVD Blu-ray sales, and they really can't justify any kind of performance in merchandise or even on streaming, except that they sell it to themselves for the grand total of $150 million, and that's how they somehow arrive at a profit, and they transfer the loss of something like this over to a different division. Disney is spooky, scary, and efficient that way, even though ultimately this thing did not make money. If anything, it lost, several tens of millions of dollars, more likely over $100 million, as I reported a long time ago. With a budget after film credits of $150 million, it didn't even reach the 3 times cap of its production budget, meaning it was a financial loser and nobody could justify otherwise. So back to the original story. We're working on it. The first film's reception was incredible, and we want to honor that. It's evolving in a way we're excited about, Cretton said, adding about the sequel, I can't say specifics, but the emotional core is very important to us. Shang-Chi gets a reality check. Here we go. Maybe that's good news for the 12 fans that are out there, but I doubt it. Nearly 5 years after Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings hit theaters in September of 2021, yours truly was actually there to witness the non-spectacle, non-interesting, non-money-making film. I will tell you, this thing doesn't deserve a sequel, it doesn't need a sequel, and Disney won't make any money on a sequel. But again, maybe it's not about the money. I don't know. Regardless, there's still no title, no release date. It's not in production. It's not even greenlit at this point. It was announced years ago, rumored at one point to be subtitled The Wreckage of Time, and has quietly been sitting on the back burner ever since. Meanwhile, Cretton moved on to his one-and-done canceled Disney Minus series, American-born Chinese, and Marvel Wonder Man, which is complete trash. And now Spider-Man Brand New Day with Sony, which I'm not going to say is going to enjoy nearly as much success as the previous film. Despite the fact that Tom Holland was incredibly invested in this project and had a lot of influence on it as well. And of course, he and Zendaya got married during the course of it. He was supposed to do Avengers 5, The King Dynasty, which is why he got the Spider-Man prize, despite the fact that he's not going to bring anything good to this particular brand. In fact, if anything, he might drag Spider-Man down to his level, a Cretinous level. The fact that you can spin things all you want, but if the first film actually worked, we wouldn't be here. We'd already be making a second film, a sequel per se. And Marvel fast-tracks sequels on movies that work, and they do them very efficiently and very effectively and very quickly. Black Panther, immediate sequel. Doctor Strange, immediate sequel. Guardians of the Galaxy and all their follow-ups greenlit and dated in short order and put on a calendar that they publicly showed you. Have you seen Shang-Chi 2 on a calendar publicly out there other than a TBD and no working title, no even subtitled title? And Shang-Chi got a sequel announcement and nearly 5 years of silence, and we're working on it? No, I don't think that's the case. Studios don't sit on franchises studios don't sit on franchise starters for the better of a decade and get Studios don't sit on franchise starters for the better part of a decade. The gap is the verdict. The box office is why. The film did $432 million worldwide on a production budget north of $150 million, leaving little room for any profit. There was no profit. As I said before, the only way they can calculate any kind of profit on this after DVD sales, after Blu-ray sales of only $14 million, they have to move the $150 million worth of loss over to the streaming service, the DTC part of the direct-to-consumer model that Disney Minus is largely responsible for. At the time that this film would have been moving into streaming, Disney was losing $300 to $600 million on Disney Minus every quarter. I'm going to tell you right now, this is part of that loss. Also blaming the global crisis or the pandemic didn't work because Spider-Man Brand New Day, because Spider-Man No Way Home brought in nearly $2 billion. And Shang-Chi sits alongside other MCU bombs of the time, including Black Widow and Eternals, both of which didn't get sequels. And the Eternals characters have disappeared from the MCU completely. The Black Widow follow-up, Thunderbolts, also bombed last year, which I was gleeful about because I said this is something nobody is interested in, nobody's familiar with, and nobody cares about. And guess what? We're going to get all of those characters and Shang-Chi in the Avengers Doomsday movie, which again points towards nobody's going to care. Aquafina was definitely a huge mistake in everything she's been in for Disney, and this film was included in that. And again, the post-Secret Wars logjam is there for a reason. Marvel needs a complete and is receiving reboot. You've got the following MCU pipeline defined here. Secret Wars is the last official movie on Marvel's calendar with December 17, 2027 release date, 1 year after we finish up with Avengers Doomsday. That's going to be a disaster for Disney. And after that, Marvel has staked out 3 untitled release dates, July 28, May 4, and July 13, all of which in 2028 and 2029. These slots are widely expected to go to the X-Men relaunch, Black Panther 3, according to Ryan Coogler, and perhaps another Blade project or an effort to make a Blade project, and perhaps there's a Thor 5 in the works. I don't know. Nobody does. I don't think Feige even knows. There's really little else to offer other than the X-Men, and X-Men, if you don't put the men behind the X, is going to be a flop as well. So if you notice, that what's not on the list with any confidence is Shang-Chi 2. If it lands on one of those dates, the sequel arrives in 2028 or 2029, roughly 7 to 8 years after the original, and pushing forward a decade of and pushing toward a full decade from conception. If it doesn't, it waits even longer, which is my guess for this project. So yes, Shang-Chi 2 is still happening in a way that a lot of other Marvel sequels are still happening. In interviews, not on a calendar, and believe it when there's a release date attached. Which for this one, there is none, nor will there be. There is no financial justification anybody can make to make this film. What, to try to make less money at the theaters? To try to pass on a deeper, steeper cash deficit to DTC, which already is folding under the weight of all the failure that Disney has been pushing out lately? Remember Wish, Snow White, and basically everything from Phase 4 to Phase Dive, going into Phase 6 with the first Fantastic Four movie in over a decade. And that certainly didn't make any money. So ask yourself a question. Is Shang-Chi a logical property to proceed forward with, or is just more propaganda for Disney's machine? Let me know your thoughts about Shang-Chi 2 in the comments section down below. Do you believe it's going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen? Is it possibly going to happen? Can you make a financial case for it to happen? Or can you look at the numbers and go, this is a disaster, and it is going to not be followed by another disaster because Disney can't afford it? Again, your comments are as good as mine. Let me know what they are down below. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Just hopefully not at another bad Marvel movie.